Hey homeschoolers, this is Jim Pence with See the Light, and today we're talking about digital art apps. I'm glad you joined us today. Well, in the last video, we looked at what you need to get started in digital art. And I said you needed three things. You needed something to draw with, something to draw on, and a medium. Well, we covered the first two in the last video. Today we're going to talk about medium or media. What is that? Well, if you're working in traditional art, your media is going to be pencil or charcoal or watercolor, oil, acrylic, whatever you happen to be working with, using to create art. In digital work, your media or medium is going to be an app. So what apps do you need, and what app is going to be the best to work with? Well, that's a tough question because there are tons of apps out there. And they range in price from extremely expensive to free. So how do you know which ones to use, which ones to spend money on, which ones to avoid? Well, we don't really have time to go into all of them. So what I have done here is chosen my three favorite apps. And these three, one of them should work for you no matter what you're using. Each app has, at least for me, a particular selling point. And I'm not going to go into a great amount of detail with each app today. I just want you to be aware of them and how you can get them. So I'm going to go and I'm going to start with my go-to app, my favorite one, the one that I work in 90% of the time. And then we'll work down from there. My favorite app of all time is Procreate. And I like it for a number of reasons, but what originally really sold me on it was how well it imitates the feel and the look of chalk. I'm a chalk artist, and so that was just a great enticement for me, and I really didn't get it because of that. I just kind of stumbled upon that, but I'm going to show you a little bit about how it looks. I've got the soft pastel brush up, and I'm just going to take some different colors here, and as I draw with that, that is to me almost exactly what it looks like when I'm drawing or working with soft pastels or chalks, and there is a difference, but the thing that I just absolutely love about this is it doesn't just look like it on the surface when you first draw with it. I'm going to blend it now, and it actually, the blend looks and feels pretty much the same as what you would get if you were using real chalk. And so this has always been, one of my favorite apps. Really not one of, it is my favorite app, just for that alone. Now, there's a whole lot more involved with Procreate. It is a very robust app. There's just an amazing amount of features, and we won't get into all of them, but I'm going to give you some highlights as we go forward in this series, and I hope you'll get to experiment with it. Now there is, let me give you a pro. The other pro is that it's only $9.99, so the price is right. There is a con, and the biggest con is this only works on iPad. So if if you're working with Windows or Android, you're pretty much out of luck. But if you do have an iPad, then I would highly encourage you to get Procreate. You can get it at the App Store, and you will find it to be a very, very useful and versatile app. Again, it is one of my favorites, and most of the tutorials that I'm going to do, I will do in Procreate. Now, the only problem is if you aren't working in an iPad, what do you use? Well, let's look at a couple other apps. My second favorite is ArtRage, and I've actually got something already on there. I'm going to erase that. That's one of the things I love about digital art. Very easy to erase and clear and just kind of start over if you goof up. ArtRage has, again, a number of selling points. For me, what I love about it most is how well it imitates either oil or acrylic type media. And I'll show you here. I'm going to tap on the tube brush. And one of the things with this tube is now it looks like I'm just laying tubes or paint straight from a tube on the canvas. And I'm going to just throw a couple different colors down here just to give you a little illustration of what it's like. Now, having put all that paint on the canvas, I can go to a brush, and I can actually work with that brush like I would an oil painting brush. And you see how the paint even mixes with the paint underneath it. And I can even use a palette knife and get a feel that is more of an impasto feel. It's got a little bit more texture to it. Just a great overall app if you're looking for an acrylic or an oil look. It also has a pretty good watercolor imitation. Out of all of the different traditional media, watercolor is one of the toughest ones to imitate, and that's the one I found that is probably the least satisfying in any of these apps. But again, there are a lot of other things that this app will do, and it is a great option. This one is nice because it's cross-platform. It doesn't really matter what you're working on. You can find a version of it. So now the one downside is if you're working in Windows on a desktop computer or a laptop, then it's a little pricier because the cost of the app, if you just get the basic version, is about $30. If you get the full featured version, that's it's in the $80 range. So that's kind of a downside, but it is worth it. It's got a lot of a lot of features, and if you're working on an iPad or on an Android tablet, then the app is about $5. So again, very very cost effective. So that's my second choice. My third choice is Sketchbook, and you can see I've got some doodles here on this one that I was playing with. Let me just clear that and start a new sketch entirely. And Sketchbook you used to have to subscribe to it. Now it is a free app, so that's its biggest selling point. And again, it is cross-platform. It'll work on Android, it'll work on iPad, it'll work on Windows. So you can no matter what you're working with, this one should work for you. And again, there are many aspects to this that I really like. One is its feeling as a sketchbook or as a sketch pad. It's just got a very nice drawing feel to it, and you can adjust the pencil or the pen that you're working with. It's got nice airbrush effect, nice pen effect, and again, all of these apps have similar things, so it's not like each one is just totally unique in some of these. You're going to find corresponding abilities across these different apps. One thing I like about this, you can get the Copic marker colors. If you want to work in a more of a marker style, you can choose those colors, and they correspond to the actual physical markers. A lot of stuff that is cool on this app. One thing that I really enjoy is, let me clear this out again. I'll show you. Okay. Let me show you one of my favorite aspects of, this is something I will do in Procreate too, but the symmetry tool that you'll find in this app and in some others lets you create some beautiful design work. There we go. And you can have a lot of fun with this and get very creative just with something as simple as the symmetry tool. And this one is very versatile. When we do some symmetry work, I'll show you some things in this app because this one, Procreate, has a symmetry app or a symmetry tool, but this one in some respects is a little bit more versatile, and in other respects Procreate's is. So, and that's the one thing you'll find with these apps is for me there's no one app that fits all. I'll find things that one app does better than another one. So I would encourage you, if possible, to get all three of them, and as many more as you can. Again, there are a lot more than this. There's Photoshop. You can work in Photoshop. There are just a ton of different digital art apps. You have to find the one that you like best, and that's one thing that it's very similar with regular media. A lot of people will gravitate toward one kind of media. Somebody might like oils, and somebody else might be a pastelist, and somebody else might prefer charcoal. So it's one of those things where you need to find what you like best and work with that. So those are the three digital art apps: Procreate, ArtRage, and Sketchbook. And those are the three I would suggest you look into. Again, there are a lot others, but if you want to draw along on some of the exercises that we're going to do down the road, then you might want to at least have one or all three of those apps. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Next time, we're going to start looking at some features of digital apps that we can use, and we're going to start out with probably my favorite of all of the features, and that's layers. So get some apps, start drawing, have fun, and I'll see you in the next video.